I didn't expect that if we were talking today, it'd be about how Jackson Dart is already making his NFL debut. But here we are. It kind of felt inevitable that this was going to happen sometime this year. But are you shocked that it's happening before October even hits the calendar?
Yeah, I'm a bit shocked. I said it on record. I didn't think he was going to play this year, not because he's not ready. I thought the fact that we brought in Russell and Jameis Winston gave us the cushion to say, let this guy develop. The only team that has been successful in passing the torch from quarterback to quarterback is the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Favre. Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. I truly still believe that model is the way to go. New York is one of the hardest places to play. Let me not even talk about on the field first. Let me just talk about off the field. New York media, one of the toughest media markets to play in. Dealing with the fans. The fans are used to Super Bowls. The Giants were one of the only franchises for 4 consecutive decades to win a Super Bowl, the 80s, the 90s, the '07 and 11 team. They've been dying for something the last 15 years. So the product has not been there. I've been a part of the team. I can speak from experience. I am nervous that Jaxson Dart is going out there a bit too soon. At the end of the day, though, the fans, the media, the ownership clearly all came to the conclusion it was time to do it.
And with the Giants schedule, that was the one thing that was talked about a lot this offseason, how difficult it was because you got the Chargers this week, you got the Eagles in 2 weeks, you got Broncos, 49ers. Did you buy into the narrative that finding a more soft spot in that schedule, like next week against the Saints, might have been more ideal, or do you think that it's just kind of you just gotta throw them out there? It's like a sink or swim.
It's the NFL, right? I mean, if you were trying to figure it out, we got him out there in the preseason. That's the easiest football you're going to play all season long. And people have to remember the preseason, no one's calling exotic pressures. They're running their vanilla schemes and packages. So to put so much onus on what the preseason looked like, and we have to get him out there tomorrow, be ready to have some struggles. Eli Manning struggled early on in his career when he went out there. Peyton Manning, I think, had the rookie interception. So there is no tried and true method. I have the one that I believe works for playing a quarterback. So I don't think it's necessarily dependent on who you're playing. Yeah, maybe the Chargers will look tougher this week, and then you get to go to New Orleans, and you're like, wait, I just went from this level of competition to this. It's still the freaking NFL. These guys are all very talented.
And you obviously worked with Kyler Murray when he kind of came in as a rookie, not kind of when he came in as a rookie. What goes on in the locker room when you see such a young player coming in to take over what many people consider like the most important position in all of sports, especially now for a team like the Giants who are 0-3. Does like what type of spark does this bring to have someone like that?
It definitely brings a spark. Look, Russ has played for a long time at a high level. Some of those interceptions were tough. I was at the game. I was watching them. Jaxson Dart's going to get a little bit more slack than Russell Wilson will, and that is or did. He's going to go out there and he's going to provide 100% of spark. He's probably going to lower his shoulder and run some guys over like Cam Scatterboo's doing out there, and those are things that the fan base can get excited about. You have to realize the business of this sport too. Giants fans demand getting back into the fray, getting back into the playoff conversation. John Mara and ownership has a responsibility to provide that. That trickles down, that pressure trickles down to Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, the head coach and general manager. There are certain cards you can play to prolong the fans' angst, and changing quarterback is one of those hands. If not, we're getting into the territory where you could look at jobs and people having their jobs on the line. That's players. That was myself when I was there. If you don't play well, you're getting fired. That's same for GMs, coaches, and everyone throughout the building. So that pressure is real from the fans. And that's why I mentioned fans were impactful in this decision because ownership feels it, GM feels it, coaches feel it, players feel it. And if you're not winning, changes have to be made.
And I want to ask you about Russ now. You were there Sunday night for the loss that is set off this whole chain reaction. From what you saw, was it more with Russ in New York? Was it maybe just not the best of scheme fits? Was it just maybe what we saw the last few years with Russ? It's just like the inevitable of like father time catch up. He had a 450-yard game like two
Yeah.
weeks ago. We're here now. From what you saw with your own eyes, what did you see with Russ?
There were some plays there. I mean, you look at those interceptions, it was just like, hey, I'm going to try to make a play. Russ is trying to force the ball down the field to Malik Neighbors, Wandell Robinson, and interceptions happen, right? That's part of this game. And when you turn the ball over and you lose a game, your kicker gets hurt and you can't kick field goals, all of that snowballs and everything ultimately falls on I probably should go owner, GM, head coach, and then the first player that's coming up is the quarterback position. And unless you have the built up goodwill, which Russ also doesn't have with the New York Giants fan base. He's not in Seattle right now. The leash is going to be shorter, and that's ultimately what happened. There's a reason those guys make the big bucks, and that's why they're the highest paid position on the team. They're also going to be the first to go when things aren't going well, and Russ gets that. He's the ultimate pro. I do have to give a hats off. He made a huge impact in the community and with teams. I was there the day I retired. He went up to my family unprompted and had a great conversation. So I like to separate the human being from the football business. And I think Russ, he understands both sides of it, but he's still a hell of a human. He's going to be successful. He already has been successful in life outside of sport, and that won't change.
Yeah, he went to Mount Sinai like not even long after the news broke. That it shows what the good guy he is. I guess my last question on Russ is, do you think he hangs around for these next 14 games, or do you think it'll be like a Daniel Jones situation where the team respects Russell Wilson and say, "Hey, thank you for what you did here. We'll let you go and try and find maybe a more successful spot this year."
There's a ton of quarterbacks that are hurt right now. You look at Justin Fields, even though Tyrod Taylor is a beast. I play with Tyrod. I think that it is he can go win them games. But you look at Cincinnati, they struggle mightily. Minnesota, I know Carson Wentz played well in the last game, but they were going against the quarterback a backup on the Bengals the other side. So there are some opportunities out there for quarterbacks to go find another home. And you have Jameis. Not like you don't have a quality backup in there. Maybe there's a world in which you see Russ or Jameis get moved before the deadline, and that's why you stack quality players that have started, and another team might take a chance.
And my last question, at least on the Giants front, is you played under Brian Daboll in 2023. Do you still think fans are, because now the last line of defense is gone, the quarterback situation was changed. Do you still think he's the right guy to lead the Giants into the future and beyond with Jaxson Dart?
100%. I think Brian, and I was a big proponent on Joe Shane and Brian Daboll coming back, giving guys time to continue. And there has been time, and I get people are fed up. But if you fire those guys tomorrow, now Jaxson Dart is coming into a new regime that didn't draft them. They might have a totally different philosophy. You need, and it's so hard to say this to the fans that are paying their hard-earned dollars, patience and trusting in the plan. I know, the trust the process has been out there for a while. Let Brian Daboll cook with Jaxson Dart. Let him marinate a while. Let him experience the growing pains. Brian Daboll is one of the best minds of football minds I've ever been around. The attention to detail from the skill positions all the way up is unmatched. If Brian Daboll, and this is like the worst case scenario, if he wasn't the head coach of the New York Giants, he's an offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. He's going to have a job. He is a hell of a coach. I want him in New York. I know the man he is. I know how he prepares. I know the football mind that he is. Mind you, I've been playing in football for 20 years from the college level where I had an NFL head coach in Doug Marrone all the way to my last season there with Dayball and every coach I had in between. I know what a good football mind is. It's very hard to say this to the fans. Continue to have patience. Our best chance for Jaxson Dart to be successful is with the guy that stood up on the table and said, draft him. He's my guy. And it's hard, but you got to continue to bear with us. I'm a Giants fan. I'm with you guys. Trust me.
I know you said you're going to be in Arizona. I see your first night football club hat. Tell us about this, because I know you've been a busy man with this. You were just there on Sunday night. Let's talk about what you're up to.
Yeah, so I started a content engine behind me. I got producers, editors. It's called Thursday Sports. The weekend starts on Thursday. That's the ethos. I started going to every Thursday night game last year because I wanted to see what it was like to be a fan. I wanted to sit in the stands. I wanted to have a beer. I wanted to put a bet in the game, see what it's like to switch roles after playing for 11 years in the NFL. So this year we formalized what it was, Thursday Football Club. We're trying to find the best fan base. So that's vibes. That's from the airport the second we touch down to the traffic into the city to how the game goes itself. I don't need to go to the 11-0 teams playing. I went to a 2-8 Cleveland Browns game last year, but they're keg bowling. They're out in the Muni lot. The snow falls. They beat the Steelers, and it was one of the most magical football experiences. And to hear those stories of how the fans come to the games where their grandfather gave tickets to their mom who gave them the tickets and now they go to the games. That's the beauty of football. That's what brings everyone together. And I'm not this big name. I'm not Jason Kelsey on Monday Night Football. I want to go into the stands and be with the fans in the game, not just at the game. And that's the beauty of it. So we'll be in Arizona. They got the Nike rivalry game this weekend, the sick Sandblast jerseys I'm sure you've seen. They are going to have an amazing show. I think they got Little John's performing at halftime. They're rolling out all sorts of stuff along the concourse. And then you got two really good teams, Seattle and Arizona. Who's the one that's going to take that next step in the NFC West? Because it is wide open. LA just lost. San Francisco's got a ton of injuries. You could see a team like Arizona take command of the NFC West. They win a game like this.
And not to put you on the spot with this, besides the Giants and the Cardinals, is there a game this year you're looking forward to hitting up for Thursday night? Is it anyone stick out to you that you're like anticipating a fun time?
Look, I am gonna go back to Buffalo at some point. We did two games in a day. I went to Cleveland in the morning for their first game against the Bengals, which they lost. Then I went to the Buffalo Bills game after where they beat the Ravens. I didn't get to spend a ton of time tailgating in Buffalo. I didn't jump through a table. I have to go back to Buffalo one more time. This is my first time going back to Arizona. I didn't get to go last year. My schedule didn't coordinate. Arizona has rolled out the red carpet for your boy. I can't wait to get back there. A team I played on, know all the guys, know Kyler, know obviously James Conner had an injury. It's awful for them. Buda Baker. I just know a ton of guys. I can't wait to go around and hype them up, cheer them on, be screaming from the fans, from the stands as a fan. It's going to be a great night Thursday.